Hi everybody, this is Nuris from the Rare Dots, and today I'm going to talk about the Rare Dots. And the reason is because I have people asking where they can read more about the Rare Dots, where they can understand how to spot one of them, and I'll be writing more of that in my Substack that going to have a link as well below this video, talking more about that. And pretty much I wanted to start from where this concept of the rare dot has started in my own experience. And this is coming from the concept of the uncertainty. Now, the uncertainty is something that each one of you will face and deal in a different ways. I have dealt in different ways from my financial work that I did it for 18 years. Before that, I also did my academic studies, in particular on the quantum mechanics, that you have a different understanding of the uncertainty. And more recently, as an entrepreneur as well, you have like different understanding of the uncertainty is about. But there is one thing that you may have heard, which is the concept of the black swan. Right, so the black swan is something that was introduced by Nassim Taleb, and it's pretty much the intersection between the concept of uncertainty and a crisis. So the black swan is like these one-off events that happen completely coming from the unknown. You really cannot predict them, and as at the same time create a huge impact to you and the society at large. So there's kind of this combination of the two things that you cannot really predict, totally coming from unknown, very surprising, at the same time as a huge negative impact into the society. So, in examples of that, for example, the latest one that you can think of is the pandemic itself, and before that, a large black swan was the 2008 crisis. And this is something that you can think of happening in other areas as well, in particular, maybe even your life. And they also come with something more, which is a change in the paradigm. So there was a before and after in the sense of your understanding of the world, of the things around you, that was changed as well as a black swan has come to happen. So before and after, there was a paradigm, and that a black swan come, and there is a change over to a new paradigm. So that is coming from that intersection between the uncertainty and the crisis. Now, what if there is also another flip of the coin, which is the uncertainty more as a source of creativity, right? What will then be the intersection of that uncertainty and creativity? What could that be? And that is really pretty much what the rare dot is. It's kind of the antidote of a black swan. So the rare dot is something that comes as that intersection between the uncertainty and creativity. Now, the thing is that uncertainty by default, and there's a bias in terms of how we understand uncertainty as something kind of a more on the negative side, though. That is, we really wanted to control, we wanted to manage, we wanted to quantify, because there is that perception that uncertainty is something that creates anxiety and we don't want to have in our lives, into our business, into our work. And therefore, that is like the very first thing that makes more sense, the black swan to come out, because it kind of that gives that intersection between uncertainty and a crisis. So, however, you can also start to think, and it was really like what I personally I start to see the uncertainty, kind of the flip coin of that element of the crisis, and more as well, equally. So I'm not saying denying that the uncertainty creates that crisis, but they also like the other part of the coin, which is the uncertainty as a source of creativity. So without kind of that uncertainty, the unknown, pretty much innovation, creativity cannot exist, right? So from that kind of different understanding of the uncertainty that can become a source of creativity, then that there will be an intersection between the uncertainty and creativity, which is the rare dot, which is kind of the antidote of the black swan. And that also what happens different from one to the other is that a black swan is something more as an external event that happens to you, and therefore you're going to lose, in most cases, your agency to that. Whether a rare dot is more something that is not necessarily that happens to you, but it's more happens through you. It's something more as an internal thing that happens. And I'll give you an examples later on, but it's something kind of more as an internal, and it creates kind of this curiosity in you to want to explore more what that rare dot really means, and with that curiosity, with that creativity, then you are going to be able to create your own shift in your paradigm, because the rare dot is something that does not fit into your current logic but resonates deeply. So a rare dot is pretty much, say, a one-off event in your own life that comes from completely unexpected, from the uncertainty, but it left you a kind of an impression in you that is something more to there. So it could be like a keyword, it could be an event in your life, it could be something that you have experienced as well, and that is something that it doesn't really fit into your current logic, to your current paradigm, but at the same time, it resonates deeply. And that is really the combination of the two things that I wanted to be more attuned. What it does not really fit into your current logic, into your current paradigm, but at the same time resonates deeply, that is kind of an indication of a rare dot. So for example, a keyword that is something kind of weird with that keyword is not really kind of the usual definition to you. It's something different. You don't know exactly what it kind of really means to you. It does not fit into, say, the usual paradigm, but it's something that resonates deeply in there, right? So that is something as an indication that you are facing that rare dot through you. And it's pretty much something that it does not fit and at the same time resonates deeply because it's pointing to you into some other paradigm that you are coming through you in that kind of a combination of the two things. It doesn't fit, but it resonates deeply. And is really pretty much asking you your agency, is demanding your agency to go after, to be curious about and create something unique from there. So it's not something that is reducing your agency, it's actually demanding your agency to go after, to understand what that rare dot is really pointing you towards. And guess what? That is as tremendous benefits to people in particular, because if they are, say, creating a business or wanted to write a book or standing out of the crowd, that kind of the rare dot is pretty much that component that will be able for you to stand out of the crowd, of the sameness and the saturation that we are living in particular these days, as everybody is copying pretty much each one, not really bring anything new as an idea. And that rare dot is your way pretty much to stand out of the sameness that we are living in today's world. So that is what I in particular work with my clients, is start to reveal that rare dots in them, and each one will have different ones, to work with them to really to see what is pointing towards, to create their own shift in their own paradigm. That it could be in terms of a business, could be a project, could be a book, it could be different things that will eventually create value to them and to others. And that is something that you to be more attuned to. But there is an issue here, and actually two issues. One is like what usually people believe that the rare dot can be, and they kind of are misleading with kind of other concepts like intuition and gut feeling or even a tacit knowledge. But all of these things that are there, like tacit knowledge and gut feeling and intuition, there is already a pattern in there. It just happens that pattern is either in a not fully aware or is not fully verbalized, or a combination of the two. So, for example, tacit knowledge is something that you are able to do things, but you not really be able to explain how you do them. But you are very efficient. You are very an expert of doing that. You just you're not able to fully explain because there is not really it's something that is below the language, right? But there is already a pattern in there. Whether a rare dot, it's below the language, is also below awareness, but is breaking a pattern. Is breaking your paradigm because it's pointing to something different. And that is why it looks probably similar to these concepts, but actually it's quite different, because the main key is exactly that does not fit into your current paradigm and resonates deeply. And that is beyond, it's like beneath the language and beneath your awareness. And it's something that you're going to work with, but it's pointing towards something that only you can reveal in your unique way. So that is like one of the main things that people get distracted and not really comprehend fully what the rare dot is. So do not be confused with the concepts like intuition, gut feeling, and also the tacit knowledge, because really the difference is that yes, they are beneath the awareness. Yes, the rare dots are beneath the language, but it breaks your current paradigm. It breaks the patterns that you are building on. And the second thing that is preventing people to, in particular, to work with them, and they eventually may be able to realize there's something in there as a rare dot, but they are kind of a fear of working with them because there is an element that you have to deal with the uncertainty. Because remember, like the rare dots comes from this combination of the uncertainty and the creativity, but it's the uncertainty about not being able to fully justify, to fully understand what is this used for, and having like this, what I call the justification anxiety, to try to kind of prove that there's something useful in here, and they get really trapped into that kind of the sense of making use immediately what this is and trying to justify and try to prove it. And this is something that is really breaking pretty much the ability to work with the rare dots, because there's that element of the uncertainty that you need to be more comfortable as a source of creativity and not something that you wanted to know in advance how it's going to end, right? And that is the part really, the second part, kind of this justification anxiety that is pretty much preventing people to work with the rare dots, even if they start to identify one of them. And once you really are dealing with these two main kind of things, the challenge of really identify the rare dots, and then second to start work with them, that is going to open a huge ability and your capacity to be really creative from that uncertainty as a source of creativity and create something unique to be able to stand out from the sameness, from kind of this huge saturation that we are living in nowadays, and put your mark and really create value in your unique way that only through you are able to come out, because that rare dot is unique from your lived experience. So these are really main concept of the rare dot. You can think a bit of as an antidote of a black swan. And that, just to recap, the black swan is pretty much the uncertainty or the intersection between uncertainty and a crisis. Yes, there is a paradigm shift that is coming with a black swan, and it's something that happens to you. Whether a rare dot is an intersection between the uncertainty and the creativity, is not something that happens to you, but happens through you. And there is also like this paradigm shift, but it's something that you create the paradigm as you become more curious and creative around the rare dot. So these are like the main three things, and also like not to get confused with concepts like intuition, gut feeling, and tacit, because yes, all of them, they are like similar things with the rare dot, because they are like below awareness and they're also below the language. But all of these are already kind of a structure, there's some kind of a pattern in there, whether the rare dot is breaking that patterns pretty much. And the first thing is about what is preventing pretty much people to work with them, which is this anxiety, the justification anxiety. They're trying to justify, try to prove. And I'll talk more about that as well, related to the completeness theorem of Gödel, or for those who wanted to dive deeper, kind of an association between the two things, let's put it that way, that I'll be talking more in my Substack article. All right, so this is pretty much for today. It's coming as well with an article that you can dive deeper, and I'll be doing more of these videos as well, so you can be more familiar what is also behind the scenes, and you can know more about about myself, about really the ideas that I'm developing, and also eventually what my clients are doing as well. All right, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.